tell me about yourself.
I am running for mayor of Springfield. I have told people that I've started campaigning in 2000, because that's also when I started campaigning when I ran for city council from 2001 to 2009. I have never stopped working as a community volunteer for the city of Springfield. I happen to love the city. I've been very active in neighborhood issues. I have been very active on historic Commercial Street. I've been up there for 40 some odd years, and largely instrumental in the revitalization of the area, including getting us a tax increment financing district and a community improvement district. My husband and I live in Midtown. We've been very involved in the Midtown neighborhood. Was on that board for a number of years and have worked towards the revitalization of that, Springfield's only residential historic neighborhood. Very interested in historic preservation. My background is I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in graphic design, desktop publishing, and photography, and printing, actually. And my first business was Collette Studios, Creative Design and Production Services, from 1978 to about 2000, when my husband and I opened Historic Firehouse No. 2, which is an event venue on historic Commercial Street today, yesterday, and tomorrow, I hope.
So, using your prior experience, community involvement, how long you've been in the area, what about those things qualifies you to be the mayor of Springfield?
My experience, I served 8 years on city council. That equates to somewhere around 200 council meetings that I have been not just in attendance, but one of the presiding officers. Over 400 council luncheons, multiple governmental and intergovernmental meetings, multiple National League of City meetings, multiple Missouri Municipal League meetings. Basically, I understand how our government works. I understand how the departments work. The faces have changed, the names have changed. We've got a lot of new people coming on board, which I'm very excited about. But I can hit the ground running because of that experience. And also, I think I bring something else to the table from my many years as a neighborhood advocate and a community advocate, trying to give much more voice to our neighborhoods and to the citizens of our community.
And let's talk about some endorsements. Do you have any endorsements at this time?
No, actually I don't. I'm endorsed by all my friends.
And obviously the mayor's term is now 4 years compared to 2 years in the past. What would the vision of Springfield for you look like by 2029 if elected?
I would like to think that we would have a much more vibrant city in terms of our neighborhood parks being more focal points of activities, and not just neighborhood activities, but governmental city access points where you can perhaps free Wi-Fi and access governmental resources, a lot more resources into our neighborhoods, a lot more interaction between our neighborhoods and the development community. Because I think that there's a lot of work that can be done in that area. I would like to see us have a free bus system. I think our transit system needs a lot of work. That's actually one of my major issues. I would like to see us have free Wi-Fi on our buses. I think that is one of the ways that you can address poverty, and our transit system is the best avenue we have to get people to jobs, get people to our job center, get people that don't have vehicles from point A to point B, and do a better job of it.
Speaking of issues, what would you say are, I'll let you pick maybe 1 to 3 issues you feel are affecting Springfield the most?
Well, of course, I just mentioned the transit and neighborhood parks and neighborhoods in general having much more of a voice. I think overall, my overarching issue is giving citizens more of a voice in their government. I think that while we have done a heck of a job, our community leaders have done a wonderful job with a lot of the projects that have been completed, that are in the works, a lot of very exciting things in the works, kind of on the horizon. But there has been, it's kind of a top-down approach, and well-meaning. I'm not saying that has been an imposition, so to speak, but I do feel like that we can do a better job of having our citizens not just thinking of us as consumers and taxpayers, but as real collaborators and as creative resources that we as a government haven't really tapped as well as we could, especially with the technology that we have, with a potential for open data and community-wide Wi-Fi, and I'd like to see free Wi-Fi on our buses. And I think some of those kinds of things that are much more creative in nature, that I think support a lot of the projects and the activities that our government's currently involved in.
One of the issues, and you may have seen it firsthand, is developments.
Yeah.
We've seen several stories over the past several years of developments wanting to go into places, neighborhoods, or neighborhood associations not wanting them. As somebody, if elected, the mayor of Springfield, where do you stand on some of these contentious developments? It's hard to find that compromise between, potential businesses wanting to kind of set up shop, and then you have people who live in neighborhoods who don't want them there. Where do you stand on some of those issues?
Well, I think that's a simplistic way to ask the question. The reality is that neighborhoods do want development, but I think they want development on their terms, and developers want development on their terms. And somewhere there is maybe not a happy medium point, but I do think that if neighborhoods had the opportunity to do their own long-term planning and had resources from us, from our government, to develop to determine the areas in their neighborhoods where they would like to develop and what that might look like, and then make that available to developers. And then also, when developers are interested in a project and they buy a piece of land, that I think there should be a city liaison person who acts as a go-between really early on in that process. And I think if we do that, I think you'll see much more acceptance on the part of neighborhoods for developments of lots of different types. And I also think you'd see more of an understanding by developers of what neighborhoods' issues are and how they can actually help solve some of those issues. So I like to think that I always look at problems as opportunities, and I think there's a big opportunity for a lot of middle ground there. And I think that a couple of our recent projects really sort of prove that, because it has been just bringing this development in. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it here, and too bad you don't, whether you like it or not. And once you've done that, there's no going back from that approach. So if we start earlier and I think give our neighborhoods more time to talk about what they would like ahead of time, and have our developers be more sensitive to that, I think we can do a lot better job than we're doing, and I'm confident of it.
Another controversial decision for many Springfieldians is the expired license, or the expired tag ordinance that had passed, I think a couple weeks ago. And I'm sure you've heard both sides. People that are for it want the tax revenue to come back into the city and make sure that every car on the road is properly taken care of. Whereas people that are against it say that it's a poor tax and it unfairly punishes people simply for just not having enough money to pay for certain things. If you were on city council, how would you vote on that issue, and why?
I think it's necessary. If we're going to have a licensing ordinance, we have a licensing ordinance, and you have to maintain your vehicle in proper it has to be licensed properly. I think if you can income qualify, I think it would be totally appropriate to, as a government, to provide some resources to assist those who can't and don't have the means by which to license their vehicles. I also think that right now, I think the timing is bad on passing it. I believe I would have voted to pass it because I also think that people that license their cars are more likely to insure them, and that there's nothing worse than having an uninsured vehicle involved in an accident. And so, I mean, those go hand in hand. And I think to protect you, it's our job to protect people from unlicensed and uninsured vehicles. So that maybe we can use the licensing ordinance as a flag to make sure that those vehicles are also insured. And again, provide incentives or resources to those are the people that we need to be providing resources to help them get to the next. If they don't have their car license and they don't have insurance, how on earth are they going to keep a job really long term? So, and that's what we have to make sure that they have a job that they can access, a job that they can go to and from, and that they can. Public transit serves those as well. So those are all kind of issues that are tied together. And I look at the opportunity to provide resources to those folks who are having a hard time with all of those issues.
You mentioned in that answer the timing of the bill. If I remember correctly, you said it was bad timing. Can you clarify what you mean by that?
Well, I may be wrong, but it sure feels like right now that there's going to be a lot of money taken out of our economy at the federal level, at the state level, and the local level. So I think for the next few years, if I'm reading my tea leaves correctly from what's happening at the federal level, funding is going to become a problem here for a while at all levels. So I just think. I think perhaps maybe I might have voted to table it to make sure that we would have the resources to help people because I think we're going to have people's budgets are going to be very tight for the next few years, and I'm not the only one saying that.
Why should people in Springfield vote for you?
Because I'm a creative person and I have a lot to offer in terms of, I think, novel solutions. The job of the mayor is less governmental and I think more to help develop the personality of Springfield, the flavor of Springfield, the conscience of Springfield. And I think that my work as a community advocate, a neighborhood advocate, preservation advocate, that I think the heritage and culture of this community, that we are not using it as the economic development tool that it is, and I can bring that to the table. I think heritage tourism is completely overlooked in our community, and yet I know from my personal experience how many people come from other cities, other states, other countries, and they come to Commercial Street and they don't go anyplace else in Springfield except Bass Pro Shops and Fantastic Caverns and Wilson's Creek National Battlefield. So they hit those high points and we need to keep them here longer. And I think that if we did more to promote the Springfield as the history of Springfield as a transportation hub, which it is now in the diverse economy that we have now. But it all started with the coming of the railroad. And we've got that right here, and we do nothing to promote that. So that's another area that I would like to see us develop as an economic development tool.
I'm going to give you the floor. I'll give you the last word. Is there anything that you would like to add that we did not ask you?
I think that it's important that the community understands that I'm a really small business person. I am running a grassroots campaign. I'm not raising a lot of money. I am counting on the votes of citizens because I think I represent citizens more than I don't represent big business. I can work with big business. I have worked with big business, and I think it's really, it's a really important time for citizens to get involved, and I like to think that I will bring that to the table to get citizens at the grassroots level involved